Welcome to Transitional Objects, a podcast about grief, friendship, trauma, healing, and the strange cosmic magic that shapes us when we're not looking. We're two longtime friends and therapists who've been through some things, a lot of things. And now we're talking about the big stuff, what we carried, what we let go of, and what we're still very much figuring out. Unfiltered, occasionally spiritual, always real. Think of it like therapy, but with more cosmic detours and fewer billing codes.
Hi, welcome back to Transitional Objects. Today's Halloween. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
What a day.
So we have a Halloween themed discussion for today. Bridget is very clever in coming up with titles. So our title for today is Holy Ghosts. We're talking about what we learned, what we didn't learn, maybe more importantly in some situations, about religion, death, and the meaning of life.
Yes.
Big topic.
Holy Ghost, how fitting for today.
Yeah.
You know,
Halloween.
I know. Has anything popped up for you this week since we're like in a day of, I don't know, what is even Halloween, right? It's such a holiday now that is all about material, like dressing up and candy and everything else. So it's like, do you know the background of Halloween?
I mean, not, I'm sure there's a lot I will say as I answer this question, but I think actually isn't it the night before, like All Hallows Eve? I think the night before that is supposed to be a time when the veil is really thin between the living world and the world of the dead. That's about all I know. But I think that's sort of like the initial concept of it. I don't know how it evolved into what it was maybe many years ago and what it's become today. But
that's interesting. So yeah, no, it is definitely resonating with Holy Ghosts today.
Yeah. So I have thought about that over the years. If yesterday or today are supposed to be this day where that veil is really thin, and so that whatever this means to you, but that communication with the other side is supposed to be more easily accessible during these days. But I personally, granted, I haven't made much of a concerted effort either, but I haven't necessarily felt that. And I know we've had many conversations where we've felt some sort of connection in various forms, but for me, it has never necessarily been on these days, which is kind of interesting.
Now that you say that, me too. I haven't really, like this week was just like a normal week. I had to remind myself, oh yeah, today we got to dress the boys up and go trick-or-treating. If anything, I feel more of a susceptibility to spirit when when we're close to full moons. So, but I don't, funnily enough, I guess, I haven't checked tonight, like where the moon is. Wouldn't that be cool if we had a full moon and Halloween and it's just like prime time?
Yeah. I don't know. You track this more. You track the moon cycles more closely than I do.
I do. I'm looking at my watch here because sometimes my watch tells me, but it's not. But
not tonight.
Either way, the day and night is young, Dubs. Who knows what's going to happen? Here in Maine, we woke up to a dreary, drizzling, not even drizzling, pouring rain day, and now it's full blue sky sunshine. So we don't know what tonight holds, but we shall see.
So we were both raised with very different teachings as it relates to this topic in childhood. You were raised Catholic, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I was raised nothing. Not believing.
I was raised in nothing.
Yes.
When you say you were raised with nothing, does that mean like there were no rituals, there were no practices, there were no like speeches, language around religion?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there was the message was that all of it was bullshit.
Oh.
So that would be the speech, if you want to call it such.
Ye-
But I was not raised in a religious household and was raised to actually view any belief system as being made up and as bullshit, as crazy, as whatever. There was a period when I was like probably an early teenager when my mom did decide to start taking us to a church to give us the experience of having that, which I appreciate. We maybe did that for a year or two, but it wasn't something that I resonated with or that stuck
Do
with me.
you remember what church that was? Like what? No.
I don't know. I want to say, and I don't know that much about, I don't know a lot about our religions, but I want to say it was one of the ones that's, I think they're kind of like branches off of like Christianity, something like that. But
Yeah.
it,
This is actually new to me. I actually never knew that about you.
you
Like
did?
how, no,
Hmm.
I didn't know how, I guess, like anti,
Uh-huh.
anti-religion.
That message really came from my dad. My mom wasn't religious herself, so she didn't have anything to the contrary of it. But my dad just didn't really believe in anything as it relates to religion or otherwise, and was, I don't know, like sort of anti most things. And so was not teaching us anything as it related to religion. And if the topic ever came up, I think the message was just like, oh, those people are
Fake.
crazy. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
wow. Our upbringings could not have been any more polar opposite.
Uh-huh.
Because my family, I grew up in a very traditional Catholic family. But surprisingly, my father is Catholic. My mother is not. My mother never really went to church with us, maybe on the holidays, but I thought that was, and I still think that is really interesting for their marriage. There just seems to be like an unspoken agreement and peace and
Mm.
acceptance with that. But my father, deeply religious, practices, not practices, but is in the Catholic Church. He goes to mass every Saturday or Sunday. My brother and I were made. We didn't have an option. We didn't have a choice in the matter to go to mass every week, to go to what they call, I don't know if they call it this now, but back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, it was called catechism, which was essentially church school on Sundays. So that was hours long. So we didn't get to do the fun things on Sundays that kids, I don't know what they did. I don't watch cartoons or whatever, but we didn't. We couldn't do that. We had to go to school and learn in a classroom setting about the
Mm.
Bible, the teachings, the religions, the messages, so on and so forth. We did what they call reconciliation. We had to do that. There are these different steps in Catholicism to be kind of like a confirmed Catholic, which I think is a little interesting. But so what we went through that, we had to get confirmed in the Catholic Church, which is a whole big ordeal. So my brother and I did all of the steps. And so I think it was when I was like 15 or 16. So all of those years, and then 16 or 15, I got confirmed, which meant I am a true blue Catholic. And I can tell you, church was something that never resonated with me. I don't know if it's because I was forced to do it or if there was a certain level of control that I didn't have, but it was the most boring thing for me. I just wanted to go out, play sports, and play with my friends. It was like nails on a chalkboard. Not only
Mhm.
that, my dad had made us recite a lot of the prayers in Catholicism, like the act of contrition, the whole Hail Mary, Our Father, I mean, so many other ones by heart. And if we didn't recite them by heart, we'd have to do it all over again, and we'd have
Oh
to
my gosh.
write it out, and we'd have to do, and so we had to pray every night as well. And so, as you can imagine, my disposition, I did not like that. So my father and I, we butt heads a lot growing up because I just thought it was pointless. So the minute, but there was a reckoning, I think, a release from my father. He said, as long as you get to be confirmed in the Catholic Church, you can choose to do whatever you do, and whatever you choose to do, we'll hope that it is in your best interest. And so the day I was confirmed in the Catholic Church, I never went to church again. I never did, because it was just like a freedom, And look, I also just want a disclaimer. I think and believe that church and structure in church and rituals in church and certain messages in church can be deeply and profoundly resonating for some. But for me, it just never was. So I don't want to sit here and knock on Catholicism or any other religion, but I can only self-disclose like my experience around it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's the religion that I was raised in. And I quickly, when I had permission from my father to not have to go to church, I didn't. It was like, great, I get to have my Sundays and do what I want.
Yeah.
But what that came with was guilt trips.
From your dad?
Oh, yeah, guilt trips. I don't know if he knew he was doing it, but he was doing it. And that was hard, but I chose to not go because I just knew in my whole soul that this isn't for me. This isn't what grounds me. Doesn't resonate with me. It's almost kind of like I felt, why should I sit in a seat where someone else would rather sit because they get something out of it and I don't? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't belong here. So that was, in a nutshell, there's so much more, but in a nutshell, that was my experience growing up with religion.
Yeah. Yeah. What did the Catholic Church teach about life and death?
Half the time I was in La La Land, okay? Half the time I was writing notes in catechism, but generally, I mean, heaven and hell.
Heaven and hell. So you go to heaven or hell.
Yeah, and there's something called sinning. And
Mhm.
what was the most uncomfortable, eerie, weird, and again, I hope whoever listens to this, if they are really resonate with speaking to priests behind closed doors, cool. But that was mandatory for us to get our reconciliation in the Catholic Church, is to go into a booth with a wall in between you and the priest. And you were, I mean, essentially kind of made to self-disclose things that brought up shame, and this feeling of what is a sin is something that you did that was bad or considered or perceived as bad. So what you do is you get like atonement, or you get reconciled by this priest. And so you would go into this booth and I would be like, I swore at my mom. I lied to my dad. It's like, well, how much do you really want to get in here to this person? And so at the end of confessing my sins, this priest would say, okay, you do 10 Hail Marys and you say 5 Our Fathers and you have a rosary and you go in the pew and you do what he says, and then you're absolved of your sins. Hello. Sorry, but I mean, this is again, I don't know if they do it differently these days, but that's what happened to me in the 80s and the 90s.
Wow.
Is that I had to do that. And that was not a comfortable thing for, I don't think, any child to
Yeah.
do. And to have this messaging around good and bad, and if you sin, you're going to hell. But if you show up to a priest and you talk about those sins, you won't be going to hell. You're just going to do these things. And then, you get to be going to heaven. And what is heaven? Heaven is where the good people go.
Mm-hmm.
You see how this, in such a concrete operational developmental age and stage, can really start to form your self-concepts, not only of yourself, but of other people.
Yeah.
So this can also form judgments of other people, what good people and bad people, and he lied and he did that, and so he's going to hell. This is, again, I mean, like, I'm not being preachy. I am anti-preachy here. This is all about just what my experience and what I've learned and didn't learn growing up Catholic.
Yeah. what it taught you was to look at yourself and the world through that lens of good, bad,
And
good and bad.
shameful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Good,
And
good and bad. Good and bad.
very, very explicit parameters around that.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. So because I think I was so young and so impressionable, even though I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to be here. I don't, blah, 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 blah. Just I think being immersed in it for so long, also having a father who is to this day so deeply religious, I think that I have, I guess, picked and choosed some of the, I don't want to say teachings, but I think the rituals around it, like just meaning like prayer. I'm not praying to a Jesus Christ or anything, but I'm praying to like self. I'm praying to something much larger, but not under the guise of heaven or hell or good or bad, but rituals like meditation and even just showing up like in my body, like moving my body can be something that is kind of holy to me. It's like something
Yeah.
that's grounding for me, something that's very spiritual for me, but so far away from having it connected to a religious, especially Catholicism, a Catholic religion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I love rituals.
Same. I do too. Oh, they're so
Mhm.
regulating and so grounding.
Yeah. Yeah. But with a very, very intentional rituals. Yeah.
That's right.
That-
What are some of your like intentional rituals that ground you and I guess provoke some of that spirit?
Similar to what you said, like movement, some kind of exercise is something I feel like I need to do daily to get back, like connect with the body, get body and mind connection. I've been, this has been an ever evolving attempt at practice, but more recently, like just a meditation practice, a regular meditation, longer meditation practice, more recently has been something I've been trying to connect with. But I love the aspect of that, of like just being quiet, like slowing down, connecting to myself. But also now that I've grown older and had all the experiences that I have, while I wasn't raised with religion, I do have like feel a connection to like spirituality and an ever evolving kind of curiosity and understanding of that. And so I have a meditation practice that is sort of like a practice of deepening that connection to whatever that is for the great, because I believe in something more than we know and we can even our human brains can even comprehend. And so connecting to that is the meditation practice that I kind of have these days.
I think, yeah, that similar to you, and even things that you and I have touched upon, like even I think it was the last episode, like dragonfly, for example, right? Like there are these things that two people can also connect really spiritually on and deeply with, but don't necessarily have full sense or put your finger on what it actually is, if that makes sense. But it's a feeling, it's a sensation, it's something much bigger. And so I guess like hearing you say, like some of the things over the years of growing up and experiencing some of the things that you can do for yourself on a daily practice to get closer to feeling some sort of connection to a deeper meaning.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But what's been interesting, and I've been like connecting the dots lately on, is that's despite all, and there's so many that you know of and that you and I shared, and even more that I haven't even shared with you yet, that I will do one day, and maybe that's a future episode, but so many like real experiences that I've had of this knowing of something bigger than us, of the spirituality, but yet there's still a part of me that's like, but that's crazy. But that's, I don't know, you're just making that up, or that's stupid, or whatever. And I'm realizing that this is, for so long, I was proud of the fact that I wasn't raised with religion, because I felt like I didn't have this like preconditioning or whatever, that I wasn't falling for it like the other people were.
Yeah. Yeah. Those ding dongs.
Yeah, ding dongs. And I'm proud of that. But what I've been noticing lately is what that actually taught me is, as I said earlier, not to believe in anything.
Yeah.
So coming to terms with that, it's been so difficult for me to like really 100% buy into the real experiences that I've had, because I've been so programmed to doubt and to not trust. And that's been an interesting realization, and interesting, okay, how do I come to terms with that? And how do I give my own lived experience more value than these like pre-programmed stories I was told?
Well, it's so funny too, because when you said that, when you said, oh, when there's this little voice that pops up and, oh, you're crazy. It's like, oh, maybe that isn't actually even you saying that, because it's like, again, we were so young in these, whether it's teachings or non-teachings, right? And how that has kind of embedded, whether we like it or not, into an internal voice. So it's like, oh, that's not even necessarily your voice, that's your dad's voice.
Yeah.
If we can also like sever that intergenerational legacy burden around oh, you must be crazy. It's like you kind of go to this self-doubt, when really it's like me knowing you, watching you grow, watching you be closer and more attuned to spirit. Those two things are very incongruent to how I see you and know you and view you, which tells me that's not necessarily your voice. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's like, wait a minute, that is actually dad. But also, I guess this could bring up grief. Like, what would it mean to relinquish that voice?
And you know what's interesting? And this is maybe even there's bigger story maybe behind this than we'll get into today, but my relationship with him because it wasn't great in life. It was inconsistent in life. And at the time of his death, it wasn't close. Our relationship wasn't close at all. But my relationship with him has completely evolved and improved and been repaired in death, like in his death, through a lot of like work and stuff I've done. But I have had many experiences, and these are part of my real lived experiences I've had, that has been connection with him in various ways. And now the way I understand it, and I'm even, part of me is very hesitant to even say this out loud, because there's this judgment of like, somebody's going to think you're crazy, but this experience of, I don't know, the evolution sort of his soul and the connections of our souls, while one of us, me, is alive and his is not, and how that has evolved, and how his like kind of understanding, this sounds so crazy, but his understanding.
You just did it. You just did it.
I know. His understanding as a soul has evolved like with his death. And I know that in the interactions we've had. So his old stories in life, as it relates to his soul, aren't even applicable anymore. I don't even know if that makes sense.
I think it does, because it's like, through whatever you have post-death, dad's death, the things, the occurrences, the encounters with his presence can almost like reteach, or not even teach. Teach is maybe the wrong word, but like open a different understanding of him. Which means a different relationship with him and a different connection with him.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And
For
it
me.
can, yes, exactly, for you. And at the same time, you just did it too. You're the lived, experienced dad, the alive dad when he was alive, is still also with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are those old teachings. Those are those, right? Like the early on conditioned messages
Mm-hmm.
are still with you.
Yeah. Very much.
Very much.
Very much. This is crazy talk that you're saying right now.
Yeah, crazy talk. And it's like,
yeah.
well, wait, whoa. It's almost straddling this is crazy talk, but no, this is real and I can't explain it. And this is crazy talk. It's like a seesaw effect, which it is what it is. I mean, that's such a cliche saying, but I guess, is that something that you want to relinquish? That part of dad, that like shows up in self-doubts and says you're crazy and you couldn't be telling the truth, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you want to relinquish, or is that something that you do? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's no longer true. And I feel like it's no longer true for him either.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk about severing intergenerational wounds. It's like, is that something you can do in your alive, conscious, waking world?
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of re-establish a legacy of your dad. Does that make sense? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting too, like how you don't have to be raised in religion to, in fact, the way you were raised was very anti.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then it was the turning point for me, which we've talked about many times before, but was interestingly I was raised anti, like not believing in anything. And then sort of where that became the turning point for me and where that failed me in one, maybe for the first time, was when I experienced the deaths I experienced. And then I was like, but wait, where are they? I'd never been really asked myself that question before, never been forced to consider that. And that was extremely difficult, all of a sudden being in this position where they were here and then they weren't, and not having any reckoning for what that meant or where they were. And that changed the course of my life and sent me down all the paths I've gone down since, and just trying to figure that out. So I've thought about that too, and how that, if I was raised with any kind of religion, would that have been, still would have been hard, of course, but would it have been so hard if I did have something to believe in?
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
You had to recalibrate. You had to completely readjust.
I had to start from a place of like heavily grieving. I had to define a whole new belief system also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which maybe even to this day still gets, you still, like dad pokes his head in. Like the alive dad pokes his head in. So since you and I have had death and loss, how do you conceptualize? How do you exist now, knowing that there is something much more and larger than they're dead, they're in the ground, and that's it?
It's interesting because I've thought about this before, in that I have such a completely different relationship with death now. Like, I am certain, obviously there's going to be more people in my life that die, and I'm certain that those will be hard. They'll be sad. There'll be a lot of emotions in that, but I'm also certain that it will be nothing like what my experiences with death were before. Not just because it's, there's something about the first death, the first big death you experience. You've never experienced that before, so you don't know what it is. It's not because of that. It's because my belief system has changed, and my human will be sad that person is gone, but I also believe that they're not gone and that there are like that energy is still around and that there are more lives that we have and that we have certain purposes in this life and in our other lives so that when somebody does die, whatever it is that they've come into this life to do, they've done. So there's that for me that takes away the piece of like, but it shouldn't have happened because it should have happened. That was actually the appropriate timing for what they needed to do in this life. So it takes away that part for me. I still have, again, the human emotion, but not the, I don't know, not the whatever that fighting
Like
against.
fighting
Yeah.
against it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I guess that's what you're saying is, which is also an acceptance. It's such an opening acceptance of, as painful and as gut-wrenching losing someone can be, to attach their death to the right appropriate timing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That can be really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
I can also see how it can be really regulating
mm-hmm.
and meaningful,
Mm-hmm.
because it what's the word? It rids that what if. It rids that spiral that a lot of us can go down when none of this makes sense. This death, it's like, what? It rids all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which can fast track grieving.
Mm-hmm.
And celebrating the life that you got to experience with this said person, instead of falling back to a spiral of anxiety and focusing on the things you can't control about it. It's a really great way of putting it, is that the timing of anyone's passing is the right timing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For whatever it was that their soul was trying to do in this life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
which we will never comprehend.
And that is also a level of acceptance. We have to reconcile that there will be no reason or knowing.
Yeah.
For some.
Actually, I've just said that we will never comprehend, but maybe I do think we can we personally maybe can get some understanding for ourselves, but we probably won't understand somebody else's. So if somebody dies very young, it can be so easy to be like, that shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have died young, but we have no idea of what their soul was trying to do in this life.
Exactly. So. And that's where my head was going too. I'm thinking and also being a mom, it's like, how the hell can you explain your 3-year-old dying or your 2 or 4 or 5-year-old dying?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it's like, wow.
Yeah.
But to have that framework, it can allow you to, I guess, grieve and be present.
Yeah, just grieve, just be sad.
Yeah, right.
But not be wrapped up in the whole story of how this shouldn't have happened, because it did happen. It happened.
Yeah. And there has to be some acceptance around it.
Yeah.
And once there's acceptance around it, you can really start to honor them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to share. Oh my gosh, I was about to say, so this is crazy. This is crazy. I'm going to tell you something crazy. There's my old story there.
Yeah.
And this is a much bigger story than I'll probably share right now. I'm just going to give a little piece of it. But as I think my whole, maybe you don't actually know the depths of it, but my relationship with Bo has evolved so much over the last 18 years, and going hand in hand with that, my relationship with death and with grief has evolved so much. And I've done a lot of practices in the more recent years, like breathwork practices, plant medicine practices, a lot of different things that I can talk more about later, but it just aided in that evolution. And one practice, God, I feel myself I'm really nervous to even tell this story because it's bringing up all those old stories of this is crazy. Somebody's going to be
Yeah.
like, this is a crazy person. You know, this
Oh
is
my
so interesting because my
gosh.
body is like so
Yeah.
anxious right now. But very long story short, I had done do you know what a soul retrieval is?
I've heard of it, but
These are really cool. But
can you elaborate?
yeah, the idea, I did one. The idea is that we have many lives, and in certain lives, if something really traumatic happens, a piece of our soul can fragment and kind of be stuck somewhere. And so we can be living in a life, say here now, where my soul is not whole, like pieces of it are in past lifetimes. So the idea behind a soul retrieval is that it retrieves all those fragmented parts of your soul and brings your soul back again. I did one earlier this year, and the main takeaway from it for me was that I've lived many, many, many lifetimes where somebody very important to me has died, and I've made death or grief my work from that. And I heard that, I'm like, holy shit,
Okay.
that's this life.
Okay, that's
Also,
yeah. Ding, ding, ding,
yeah,
ding.
yes. So when I heard that, felt like really deeply resonated, felt really true. And that my soul was tired from that, from carrying like grief and death for so many lifetimes. And that also very much resonated through all the work I've done personally and then just like professionally with grief. Like it has evolved my relationship with grief and with the people who have died to a place that I was trying to explain earlier, where yes, there's the sadness around it, but my relationship is so different because I understand now that their purpose in this life was something that wasn't mine, and their deaths were therefore timely for whatever that was. So to summarize this, I had had many lifetimes where I was trying to like fix death, which we can't do, and so my relationship to death was very messy and messed up. And in this lifetime, Bo and I, our souls have known each other in many other lifetimes, and we made an agreement in this lifetime for him to help me fix my relationship with death.
Wow.
I feel crazy saying this,
Oh.
but that again felt so real to me, and that is literally what he has done. My relationship.
No, I've witnessed that. I've witnessed that though.
Yeah.
It's not crazy because when you bear witness to something like that vicariously, it's like, oh, duh.
Yeah. Yeah. And now that I'm at this place where my relationship to death has evolved to such a place, it has also felt like I'm at this opportunity where I don't have to, but I have the opportunity to stop working with grief as much as I have and in the same capacity that I have. And if I don't do that, then I'm going to be continuing to live these lives where I keep having this fucked up relationship with death and grief and keep having these tremendous losses. And that was part of the purpose for both of our souls in this lifetime, was for me to fix that relationship.
Wow.
Which has been done.
Wow. Oh. So I'm just like, I don't even know what to say there, folks. I think I just need some time to process that. Wow.
Oh,
What?
nothing. I'm just like, my heart is pounding. I'm like,
Really?
she thinks I'm crazy. The world thinks I'm crazy.
No.
This is so interesting. I wasn't expecting this, but so interesting how this old story is alive and well right now.
Which is so good, because even though it's alive and well and every little fiber is saying, don't say it, don't disclose, you're crazy, you did it anyway. Which also rings so completely true to this, what you just said. So when you said this relationship with death has been reconciled, it's been as much of a word we can say like fixed, and that you don't have to be doing this work anymore. So what does that mean for your future?
Good question. So I've been working on this like whole business thing around grief for a long time. And at this point, there's so many things I've created that still exist and I'm still keeping those out there in the world and the hope maybe somebody who needs them finds them. But I've also been putting a lot of effort into marketing, trying to like because nobody knows these things exist. And so trying to make that available to the world. And I'm done with that. Like, I don't like it. Of course, within that continues a conversation, like me having to talk about and think about death all the time because I'm like writing things about it, creating content around it, like constantly and that is the piece that I feel like is like I've come to this place where I can either choose to keep doing that, and therefore how I'm seeing it is keep myself stuck in this like dysfunctional relationship with death, or I can choose not to, and that's freeing my soul from. That's part of the reason I'm in this lifetime is to change that. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm no longer creating more around the grief. What I have already created still exists, it's still there, but I'm not making more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was that what you were referring to when we spoke earlier?
About
it was like just like talking about podcasts and going forward with Grief on Purpose. And
yeah, I have a lot of episodes. I have episodes that are going to be continued to release through like April of next year. So those are still going to be released, but I'm not recording more.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow.
I know. It's like a huge shift, and I haven't like really talked about it that much.
No, this is the first I've heard.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, sign me up for a soul retrieval.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Come to Arizona, because the person I know who does them. Okay. I'm sure other people in the world do them, but I know of a person who does them in Arizona, and she's great.
Okay, maybe I'll get a soul retrieval.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Okay. Wow. I've learned so much about you. Again, just when you think you know your best friend.
Yeah. This has been, this evolution has really been only over this year, but the big shifts in it has really only been really recent, like the decisions around it. And as you can see, it's not something that is easy for me to talk about because it comes with so much judgment, like self-judgment or fear around that self-judgment.
Yeah. But again, something that we've said before is that feeling in your body, it's a lot like that shame thing. And how does shame feel better is that we talk about it. So the more opportunities that you can talk about it, say the thing out loud, maybe you'll slowly have this dissipating of that fear and the old narrative that no longer serves anymore, no longer even is even congruent to who you are. It's just there. It's habituated. Yeah. Awesome. Great. I just want to say great work, great soul work.
Soul work. Yeah.
This is who knew that we were going to open the door to this today?
No, I know. I wasn't planning on talking about this today. I was planning on doing sharing more of this story on maybe some future episode, and there's more to it that I will probably, but I wasn't planning on this coming up today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we never really plan our episodes.
We don't plan anything. So,
so we really do just roll with it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, truly. Now I'm like thinking like, what the hell is my life's job? As I am alive,
Do you have any indications of what it might be? Big question.
That's I don't even know if I can answer that. But what comes to mind? What comes to mind is like not being afraid to use my voice and also giving myself grace. And I don't know how, I don't know in what ways or what forms, but I feel like I'm starting to do that, but I'm fumbling a little bit. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I also think
podcast is a great way to use your voice.
That's true. And perimenopause.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm serious. Like my husband's just, I've witnessed you just not give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, And when I show up more, sometimes but if the fumbly part is like, okay, I don't want to withstand anymore. I don't want to withstand
Yeah.
anymore.
Just
I think-
withstand life.
And like the gendered withstanding and societal things. We're really going into a different episode here. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But yes, to answer your question, I think, yeah, just that my voice is enough and my voice is meaningful and making mistakes is part of life. I think I'm saying that also too for my oldest son. He's having a hard time with some school. So if he doesn't get it right, he won't do it. So it's like, no. This is the narrative in our house is we have to make mistakes. We have to make mistakes. So I'm just saying that out loud to me too, giving myself grace when I do. And yeah, we got one life.
Well, no.
Oh, we have one. What I meant, folks, is we have one conscious, waking, alive life, like on earth life, but we have many, who knows, like lives not on this earth.
Yes.
And
That's what I believe. But of course, not what everybody has to believe.
For sure. Exactly. Yeah, that's our disclaimer, guys. We don't preach. We don't.
These are our lived opinions.
Yeah. We're not like, this
not
is not
experts.
an indoctrined thing here. We're not in like divinity or anything. Like we don't
even have the right terminology for it.
Yeah, we don't even know what we're saying, okay?
We don't even know what the purpose of Halloween is, so.
Yeah, we don't even know.
Talking.
I mean, we are therapists. So again, we are not rabbis or priests or ministers or leaders in any sort of religious backgrounds. So, but hopefully today was opening and resonating for some. And if not, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for making it this far.
I know. Thanks for hanging
candy.
in there. Yeah, go eat some candy.
Mm-hmm.
Go eat some candy. So, Debs, any last words for this Halloween episode? Holy ghosts. How's your nervous system?
Slowing down a little bit, but still,
Okay.
I'm like, ooh.
We got you. We got you.
I'm just talking about something big.
So good, though. Look at you, you brave bitch. You brave baddie.
Thanks.
Oh, I love you so much.
I love you so much. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, guys. Ghosts and ghouls. Be safe.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
That's our episode. Proof that therapists can overshare too. If you're leaving this feeling a little more human, good. That's kind of the point. Send this to someone who gets it, or someone who really needs to. We'll be back soon with more stories, more tenderness, and a rotating cast of unresolved issues. And maybe a few coping skills. Maybe. Until then, hold yourself like you would someone you love.